All right, people, this weekend we have a fantastic, I think it'll be fantastic, heavyweight fight between David Adeleye, Fabio Wadley for the British heavyweight title. 12 rounds of boxing. It is going to be sanctioned by the British Boxing Board of Control, which is why the British heavyweight title is going to be on the line. It's yet to be shown up on BoxRec. The entire card's not on BoxRec. But I don't need BoxRec. Do you know why I don't need BoxRec? Because I have an app called Boxing Showtimes, who are the sponsors of today's videos, and their app is doing what BoxRec are supposed to be doing, which is showing you who's going to be fighting on the card, how many rounds, and the tail of the tape. I have all this now with this app, and for a limited time, with the promo code GMAN, all in lowercase, name the channel just GMAN, right? You can upgrade your membership on this. So you get more tail of the tape, more in-depth, you get a little bit of everything extra. And with that code, you get a 14-day free trial that you can cancel at any time, right? With the code GMAN, they're today's sponsors. And to be honest with you, it is a great little app. You know, when I look at this app, I think of someone like Joe Stunner Boxing, who, you know, is not a big fan of Twitter and stuff like that. All your boxing news is here. Your tail of the tape, everything is here. It's a great little app. Shout out to those guys who make it. Download it. Link is in the description, pinned in the comment section. Believe me, this app makes your life so much easier as a boxing fan. Tickets, videos, everything, all in this app. Massive shout out to them. In terms of this fight, Wadley versus Adeleye, the original order from the British Boxing Board of Control was for Wadley to fight Fraser Clark. Now, personally, I'm actually more happy we have this fight, because I think this fight has all the potential to steal the show. Has all the potential for fireworks. You've got two guys here in Fabio Wadley and David Adeleye who are both reasonably young for heavyweight, certainly. Inexperienced, crucially, by boxing standards in general. I mean, you've David Adeleye, who, yes, he did have an amateur background, a bit of one, which Fabio Wadley didn't have. Wadley just had some white-collar fights. And if anyone's ever seen white-collar fights, they are very low level. That's all Fabio Wadley has done. Now, Adeleye had a couple of amateur fights, but he didn't have an extensive career. You know, this wasn't, you know, a guy who, you know, had hundreds upon hundreds of amateur fights, was well-schooled, experienced. It wasn't like that with him, right? So both, by boxing standards, are inexperienced. Both have not fought stellar competition, it's fair to say. Out of the two, Fabio Wadley, for me, has fought the better opposition. You know, and Nathan Gorman, for me, is far superior than anyone David Adeleye has fought. And you could also argue that David Adeleye really should have a loss on his record. He fought Kamil Sakalowski 2 years ago. Now, Kamil Sakalowski is a journeyman. I believe he's retired now. He's a journeyman who, if you have any chinks in your armour as a prospect up and coming, he will expose you. Because he is not one of these journeymen who comes, looks to survive, and just looks to get a payday. Kamil Sakalowski, when he comes to fight. He always comes to fight. And he's turned over plenty of prospect in his time, right? Some would argue that David Adeleye lost that fight. Competitive, though, as it was, many feel Adeleye should have a loss on his record. Whereas Fabio Wadley, he's fought the better caliber opposition, although it's not amazingly better. It is still better nonetheless. In Molina, former world title challenger, and in Nathan Gorman, former British title challenger, who only had one loss to Daniel Dubois at the time. Nick Webb as well. Better than anyone David Adeleye has fought, it's fair to say. But even in those fights with Fabio Wadley, there were signs that, you know, not everything was okay. Fabio Wadley, out of the two, strikes me as the more athletic. He's the faster of the two, definitely. And you can see he's got a speed advantage. His shot selection is quite good. His right hand is very good, as Fabio Wadley's. His jab, although he was beaten to the punch, really, the jab by Nathan Gorman in their fight in the first round. His jab is a fast shot. It's not a bad shot at all for Fabio Wadley. It's actually quite a good shot. I think he's the better athlete. But with David Adeleye, he is the more fiery of the two. And, you know, David Adeleye is strength for strength. I might even say he might be the stronger of the two. Certainly in maybe every area, in terms of not just physical strength. Maybe he is the harder hitter. Maybe he has the better will. I don't know. But Fabio Wadley, one thing that he definitely has is that he definitely has the fighter spirit. He might not have had an extensive career in the amateurs. He might not have had an extensive pro career. But this guy, when he smells blood, or not even when he smells blood, when he himself gets hurt, he doesn't just, look to survive or anything like that. This guy comes and looks to go swinging. Now that's worked for him in his fights. It worked against Nick Webb. It worked brilliantly against Nathan Gorman. But there will come a time where an opponent will be able to take advantage of that, right? And if it happens, it's going to be interesting to see how Fabio Wadley reacts, because there have been moments in his career where you've looked and thought, oh, is he a bit stunned there? Is he a bit stunned there? Where Adeleye hasn't looked like that. Now, granted, again, Wadley has fought the better opposition, definitely, so to be expected. But I don't know, something about David Adeleye. I've never really held either guy in massive high regard, as you'll know on this channel. I've watched Adeleye, I've watched Wardley, and I've always kind of felt that they're both. I don't know where their ceiling is necessarily, but I don't think it's massively high for either man, right? But in this fight, it's hard to give an accurate breakdown to this fight, because it's easy to say both guys should do this, both guys should do that. But I have a feeling we're going to get a fight akin to Dillian Whyte versus Anthony Joshua. Because cast your minds back to that. That was a main event fight on Sky Box Office for the British title in 2015, right? It seems like only yesterday, but it was 8 years ago nearly. I think it was December 10, 2015. And in that fight, both guys, reasonably inexperienced as pros. You could say Joshua even as an amateur, although we fought at a high level, inexperienced as an amateur. They went in there and they just let the shots go from early on. Both guys had a chip on their shoulder. There was beef there, genuine beef. They didn't like one another and they had something to prove. And from the get-go, we saw shots aplenty. Joshua, I don't think, has ever let his hands go before or since the same as that fight. Dillian Whyte, although he wasn't in the best of shape physically and he had an injury, he was still, all guns blazing. He took a shot better in that fight than he's ever had in his career. And for 7 rounds, it was just compelling viewing. I think we're going to get something similar in this fight, because there's been genuine beef between these two guys. Stemming back from that first press conference they had where a member of Adelaye's team dropped Fabio Wadley, basically. David Adeleye is trying his best to intimidate Fabio Wadley, and he does come across as quite an intimidating character, David Adeleye. That's not a bad thing, by the way. And you see some people saying, oh, Adeleye, no, why shouldn't he? He should be intimidating. Jeez, that's the whole point of the game. And that's what he's trying to do, and I think he's actually having some success with that. I think Fabio Wadley is kind of, I think, where's Fabio Wadley from? Ipswich? It's not quite, where David, it's not. I've never been to Ipswich, but I'd imagine that part of the UK, kind of, Ipswich is in Cambridge, isn't it? Or near it, or somewhere like that. I don't think it's as rough as where Adeleye is. And I think this is a bit of a shock for him. I think he's coping with it reasonably okay, but I think there's a lot of beef there on his end as well with David Adeleye, and he just wants to get in and have a dust up with him as well. This is on a massive stage in Saudi Arabia, TNT pay-per-view. I can see whatever game plan both guys have, and for me, if I was Fabio Wadley, I'd be saying keep him at a jab, look to walk him onto the right hand. David Adeleye is open to the right hand. If I was David Adeleye, I'd be saying try and match him with the jab. His jab is fast, but we've seen with Nathan Gorman, if you have a decent enough jab and it's a decent long range jab, you can hang with Fabio Wadley on the jab. Try and kick him to the body. Try and slow him down a bit, because he is the faster guy. Try and hit him to the body. Look to counter over his jab. Look to counter over his jab with your right hand, because your right hand is quite good as well. Look to counter over that. But for the love of God, be careful if you hurt him, because if you hurt him and you go in for the attack, bear in mind, Fabio Wadley, he is going to fight fire with fire. And they often say when you hurt the opponent, that's when you yourself are at your most vulnerable, because you think you've got a wounded soldier in front of you. And that is when you let your guard down and you get clipped. Always, always, always be careful. And with Fabio Wadley, he is someone who does tend to swing, not like Deontay Wilder like, but he does tend to go for it when he feels he's in trouble. So Adeleye is going to want to be wary of that. You want me to give a prediction on this fight? I predict fireworks. I just don't see it going any other way. They're both young, they're both inexperienced, they both have a chip on their shoulder, there's genuine beef there, they don't like one another, they're going to want to impress on this big stage. I can see fireworks from round 1. Honestly, this fight right here, I would be amazed if we're talking about this fight post-fight and we're saying it was a 12 rounder, both guys didn't let their hands go, both guys played it safe, and who really won, it could have gone either way. I don't think we'll be saying that at all. I think we will be saying, holy you know what, that was incredible. That is what we want to see from heavyweight boxing. That is why we should match these young, inexperienced guys together early on in their career. Because people could say, well, so what? Dylan White lost to Anthony Joshua. Look what he did. Yeah, he didn't win a world title, but he's a multi-millionaire. So what? You lose. It happens. Joshua's lost 3 times. Dylan White has lost 3 times. But they've had good careers. And they fought when they were both inexperienced. It was an absolute barn burner. It was a great fight. I think this is going to be... I'm not saying Wadley or Adeleye are going to go on to the levels of a Dylan White and Anthony Joshua. I don't think they will personally, but I'm there to be proven wrong. But I still think we're going to get an electric fight on fight night from these two guys. Wadley is the better athlete, but I think overall, I just think the better fighter, just the more kind of natural, how would I describe it, just more, blood, sweat and guts is David Adeleye. I got to give a pick on this fight. Well, before you even ask, right, do I think points or knockout? Knockout definitely. I don't see this fight going the distance. Knockout definitely. Probably in the first half or mid to late stage of the fight. I don't think we'll get into the championship rounds, put it like that, right? But I got to give a pick on this fight. Who do I think is going to win? Well, first and foremost, the boxing fans. Us are going to win watching this because it's going to be a great fight. But who I think will have his hand raised? Winner by knockout, in my opinion, David Adeleye. And it's interesting that he's the outsider. They have Wadley as favourite. I'm not a betting man. I very seldom ever do bets on boxing or anything like that. But if I was, I'd be looking at the odds on this fight because I believe Wadley is the betting favourite. If the odds are really, really wide, I don't think they will be. But if you can get a wide one on Adeleye, put some money on him. Seriously, I'll be putting some money on him because I am going with David Adeleye to win this fight by knockout. Mid to, not late rounds, but kind of within the first half or maybe round 7 to 9. Thereabouts. I'm going with Adeleye to win this fight knockout. I think that the first press conference really maybe just would have just rattled Fabio Wardley a little bit. And I think that Adeleye is smart enough to know that Wadley will probably be reckless as well on fight night. And he just needs to be a bit less. I think Adeleye to win this fight. Hasn't been the most detailed prediction in the world. Because I just think that you could say, he's going to do this or he's going to do that. I think come fight night, all plans are going to go out the window. I really do. I just have a feeling about this fight that this is just going to be all plans out the window. Both guys are going to go for it. They don't like one another. They're going to want to make a statement. They're going to want to impress. And we are going to see an absolute barn burner of a fight. I really do. I don't think there's anyone I've not spoke to who isn't looking forward to this fight. This is a great fight. Really is a great fight. Let's have it. Wadley, Adeleye. I've got Adeleye winning the fight. Who do you have? Let me know in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed the video, people. Smash the like button if you could. Absolutely smash that like button. As many as you can, as hard as you can. Hit as many right crosses on that like button as you can. And of course, as always, thank you for locking in. I'll talk to you tomorrow for midweek report. Also, check out, pinned in the comment section, sponsor today's video, Boxing Showtime, 14-day free trial with the promo G-Man. Cancel at any time. I'll leave it there. Let me know your thoughts, people. Peace.